everyone. Welcome to the Nurse Maggie YouTube channel. We're here to continue on our healthy weight management topic. Last week we discussed on proteins. This week we would be tackling carbohydrates. But before I go any further, I want to thank all of my viewers, my very attentive viewers. Last week in making the proteins video, I made several mentions of carbohydrates as carbohydrates, and I am so pleased. I didn't do it willfully, and I am very pleased that I had some viewers who reached out to me to be able to make sure that I'm aware of the fault in how I pronounce carbohydrates. So I'm hoping in this video today dealing with carbohydrates, I'm not going to be saying carbohydrates. I don't know, for some reason my brain and my tongue wants to call it carbohydrates. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm grateful. I was down yesterday and 2 days ago, but today I'm up and strong again. I know it's not COVID. I had a slight injury when I was working out, but I'm doing just fine right now. So let's get into our topic. Thank you for joining. If you have not subscribed, please do so and share the videos, share with people who have struggles with their weight. Your weight might be good, but know that healthy weight is a very sensitive thing, and it's not just sensitive, but it's causing a lot of people pains that they can really not describe or talk about most times. And to be able to have any tools which can be helpful in assisting them to manage their weight is of utmost importance, and I think they would appreciate your efforts. So please do help us to share, and we count on our subscribers to be able to share our videos out. Thank you very much for your assistance, and let's get to our topic. So we'll be talking about carbohydrates today, and when we talk about carbohydrates, we are also talking about sugars. So when I say carbohydrates, consider starch, and consider sugars. I would put all of that under carbohydrates. Why? Because our system treats them the same. Our system treats them as one. Okay? It does not separate that, oh, now I have carbs, or she just ate cassava, this is starch. It doesn't do that. It treats them as sugars. Okay? So let's talk about carbohydrates. When talking about carbohydrates, there is a hormone that we cannot talk about carbohydrates without talking about this hormone, and the hormone is insulin. Okay? You know, we started with, we made a lot of mention about metabolism when we were talking about hydration. Now we get down to the specific name of the hormone, which is insulin. Insulin is what allows us to be able to use sugars as energy. Okay, I know that a lot of us who've heard about insulin, we've heard about insulin when talking about diabetics. But insulin production is something that happens to every human being, or is supposed to happen. Some people are born without this function, without this production of insulin happening naturally. These people, they call them type 1 diabetics. And from childbirth, from childhood, they need supplements, injections, or to be able to help. You know, but with type 2 diabetes, which comes, it has several reasons. The most wide reason is ineffective weight management and very, very extreme poor diet. With that, then people get type 2 diabetes and they are supposed to get insulin shots. If it's that serious, sometimes the doctor will decide to give you oral pills to be able to supplement that. So, but for a regular human being, we all do produce insulin, okay, by the pancreas. So insulin production, as I said, helps us to be able to use this energy from the sugars we consume. Now, talking about carbohydrates, we have two types of carbohydrates. We have simple carbohydrates or simple sugars, and we have the complex sugars or complex carbohydrates. Okay, we're going to look at the benefits of each and every one of them. But before we go any further, I have a few examples here, which I will bring up. If you look right here, this is white sugar. This is white sugar, okay? So white sugar right here is a half container of strawberry jam, which contains a lot of sugar. And here also I have Nutella. It's a bottle we've been using. Nutella, it's true that Nutella has some nuts in it which are healthy. It has chocolate, but it also has a lot of sugar. Don't be fooled, okay? And we have that. We have white flour, which we use, most of us use for pancakes. These days, I use this white flour to make fufu when we don't feel like eating gari, okay? So white flour, we have that. Those are some of the examples of simple sugar. When we talk about simple sugar, simple carbs. Why do we call them simple sugar and simple carbs? If you look at this sugar or the white flour, you will see that it has been processed, okay? Natural sugar does not come out this color. It is this color because it has been processed and bleached. And same goes for the white flour. If you look at the white flour, you're not going to see any gray, no, like chaff. You cannot see any fibers. You cannot see any peelings. There are no particles of grains in it. And this came from full grains, whole grains. So that is why we call it simple, because it has been processed. And for the rest of them, okay? Now, let's come to the complex carbohydrates, complex sugars. I have an example here, which I have whole wheat bread. If you eat this bread, you would notice that you would have tiny specks between your teeth from the skin, some of the skin of the nuts that was left over. And this one particularly has been mixed, the dough was mixed with some nuts too. So you have that, and it's, again, as it's whole wheat, so you have a lot of fiber in here, and you can always feel that when you chew in the bread. And it falls in the same class with oatmeal. For people who make fufu out of plantain flour, I will consider that whole flour because it has not been processed by the way they make plantain flour, except the processes are going to change later. And right here, I'm hoping I'm hoping they're truthful. They say this is 100% honey. I don't think it is. I think it's diluted. Most of them are mixed with syrup. From the consistency, most times you're able to tell. This I cannot tell, but I'm hoping they're right. And if they're right, if it's 100% honey, this should be a complex sugar, okay? Because if it's harvested and sold, it has not been processed. So let's move on. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages? Most times compliance comes with understanding. Again, particularly, I comply more when I have understanding of what is going on. So why do we say if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to control your weight gain or maintain, or if you're trying to maybe for medical reasons, the doctor might tell you do not eat simple sugars. Like for diabetics, they're supposed to just do complex sugars. Why is that? Before I get to this, I'm going to tell you a short story about myself. Several years back in the US, when I just newly started trying to control my weight, because I had not gained weight to a certain level that was very preoccupying, I stumbled on this oatmeal rave that was everywhere. Oatmeal, all TV channels, radio stations, everything they were talking about oatmeal. And I replaced my entire breakfast with oatmeal. Okay, so I used to eat loads and loads of oatmeal. Someday I would even come back from work and I would still make oatmeal for myself because they had called it the healthy option. So I went out crazy for oatmeal, but I realized that I kept gaining weight. Instead of losing weight, I kept gaining weight, and I could not understand why. I'm no longer eating white bread. I'm not somebody for sugars. I don't care about sugars, but I'm not eating white bread. I'm not eating, I just changed a lot of things. I eat bread generally a lot. Bread, jam, butter. Those are my favorite things. But I kept gaining weight. I didn't know why. In the long run, I came to discover that even though it is a healthy carbohydrate, your body still processes it as any and every other sugar. Okay? So if I eat a bowl of oatmeal and some other person eats maybe 2 slices of white bread, or some other person eats white bread and some other person is drinking a sugary drink, our bodies receive it as sugars and they react to it the same way. They use it to give you energy to use. So when it's in excess, you use some of the calories from it, from the sugars, from the energy, you use it. Anything that is left over is not used, is stored in your body as fat. It does not matter if it's coming from simple carbohydrates or from complex carbohydrates. So just because it is complex carbohydrates does not mean that we have to indulge in it. So that was my fault. Now let's get to the advantages that stand out when you're talking about simple and complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates processes very quickly. I'm going to tell you why this matters. It processes very quickly. When you eat it, you have an energy surge, like your energy maybe before you ate the white piece of bread or white rice, your energy maybe was at 20%. Immediately you eat it, you shoot up to like 90 or 100 or 110. Okay, so your energy surges very quickly. Within a matter of minutes, you're up there. And as it raises you up as that fast, it drops you down very quickly too. Okay, so that's with simple sugars. And then another disadvantage of it is that it stays in your gut. Why? Because it's processed. It does not have fiber. Simple carbohydrates and sugars do not have fiber in them. So it just gets stuck in your gut. Stuck. And if you're somebody who does not drink water, as most of us, we really need encouragement, then it just sits there. It's really not moving. It does not have anything to help it move. Okay? Complex carbs. Complex carbs, they process, slow processing. They process slowly. Times energy release. It releases energy, but in bits. It does not really give you an energy surge. You know, I don't drink Red Bull, but I hear people who say they drink Red Bull. You're so tired, you're groggy. Once you drink Red Bull, your energy is like, phew. That's what simple carbohydrates does. But with complex carbs, it gives you energy in bits, in bits, in bits. And why does it happen that way? Because it is loaded with fiber. You know, it takes a higher energy by your system. It takes higher energy, higher work. It takes longer time to be able to process something with carbohydrates. You know, imagine when you're throwing, which type of food can I say? You're eating guavas. Guavas, they have seeds in them. Or which other fruit, an apple. You take a longer time to chew it because the skin is hard. It's the same thing with your gut. Because of the fiber in the food you consumed, is going to process it slower. So the energy is released at a slower, much slower level. And then because it is giving you little bits of energy at each given time, it sustains you for a longer time, and it is easily excreted from your system because, again, of the fiber of the raw fish. Okay, when we did home economics, we used to call it raw fish. Yes, so it gets easily excreted from your system. Now, what is all the craze, the rave, the talking about simple and complex carbs? How does that really affect our weight? What are we going to gain weight? What are we going to lose weight? What is the secret behind carbs? The secret behind carbs is very simple. Listen. Now, simple carbohydrates. Now, simple carbohydrates, when you eat it, if you can see the curve right here very well, as I said, you eat it right here, there is an influx, a speedy release of insulin into your system. Okay? The insulin comes into your system. It processes this sugar into energy. You have an energy surge right here. Right here, you have an energy surge. And you are frantic, you hyper. It's like whatever work you had to do, you're just doing it so fast at this point. And then within about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on how much you ate, okay? It's not going to be the same. The person who ate 2 slices of white bread and the person who ate 10, their lapse of time is not going to be the same. But after this energy surge, you drop right down, maybe in the next 1 hour, okay? Now, when you drop here, this is you're tired. Yeah, you're tired, okay? Tired. Yeah, you are hyper. You're hyper right here. Right at this point where you drop, you are miserable. You're miserable, you are exhausted. You are exhausted right here. Because your system did this, it shut up and dropped you down. Okay? Just like Americans do with their celebrities. When a new celebrity gets into place, They praise that celebrity and lift you up. And then when you're up there, they drop you down with some type of scandals. That's the same thing that simple carbs would do to our system. Okay? So right here, you're miserable and you're exhausted. And it's not only that, because you're miserable and you're exhausted right here, you don't have the lust, you don't have the desire, you don't have the energy to function. Consider that you might still be at work. This is just like in an hour's time, maybe 1 hour, 30 minutes. You still have 6 hours at work and you need energy to be able to perform. What happens? You rush in and eat something else. Maybe you eat a donut right here, or a piece of cake, or you drink a Fanta and a piece of pizza. What happens again? Insulin gets pumped out again into your system. What happens again? You shoot up again. Pam, right here, energy is up. Okay? And the system continues. So, within an 8-hour shift, because you need energy to be able to complete your work and to be able to smile at your patients, you would have eaten how many meals? And most of it will be mindless eating. Mindless eating. You don't even realize you're eating that much. You've eaten this meal. You've eaten this meal. Maybe you eat 3 or 4 of these mindless meals because you really did not sit down to eat. You don't have that many break time. So you just grab something with sugar. And this is what your brain is asking you to eat. When we do hormonal influences, you understand. This is what your brain is asking you to eat because it needs energy. And you're eating 3 to 4 times in a shift. And when you close from work and get home, you said, I didn't eat all day. I just had a few mouthfuls. And then you eat a regularly large meal. So what happens in that day? How many calories have you finally consumed? Now, let's look at the opposing side. Now, let's talk about complex carbs. When you get up in the morning, you eat maybe 1 boiled egg or fried egg. I don't eat 1 egg, I always eat 2. If I eat 1, it means I run out. So you eat 1 or 2 eggs and a sensible size of oatmeal. That oatmeal is your carbohydrates, okay? It is your sugar. It starts, because it is complex, it has fiber, it still has some particles of nuts from the oats in it. Your system requires fluids, it requires time, it requires to chew better, okay? Your stomach is churning, trying to digest it, is taking time. So it's because it's working hard, it's releasing. The insulin is released gradually. The insulin does not release as fast as here, okay? The insulin is releasing gradually and is taking the energy and is given to you gradually, okay? So by the time this breakfast would finish to digest, okay, don't forget that eggs is protein. And we said that the digestion of protein is slow because protein molecules are denser. Protein molecules, they need more energy. Just like these complex carbs, they need more energy, they need time to be able to break them down, okay? So you have 2 eggs, you have oatmeal. You are not giving your system an easy job, but it is good for you because it's digesting. Insulin is coming and using it slowly. By the time this digests and gives you the peak energy, it might be 11:30 already and it's time for lunch, okay? And when your energy starts, maybe it's time for lunch, you have a discharge, you need to discharge a patient, or you have an admission, you're admitting a patient, okay? And as you're admitting a patient, you cannot eat exactly at 12. The nurse's lunchtime is when it is possible. So at this point, you cannot eat. It's not going to drop. It's going to decline gradually. So when it declines and get to this point, probably before it gets to this point, maybe you've had time to eat something, okay? If you've not had time to eat something, your blood sugar levels, that insulin is regulating the sugars from what you eat and sending it into your blood. It is when it is given to your blood, then you can use it. So at this point, your blood sugar levels are stable. Why? Because every so often, a little insulin was released and a little energy was given to you. You've been using that balance of energy judiciously. 8 o'clock, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 hour, 14, 2:30, 3 o'clock. You are using it gradually and judiciously. It's not like here. Here there is no stability. There is bottom of the pit, up on the mountain, back into a valley. And then up the mountain again and back into a valley. So now that your blood sugar level is stable, your brain is asking you to eat because you're getting hungry, but your brain is not craving for simple carbohydrates. It's just asking you to eat. It's telling you that it's time for fuel, for you to add fuel. You need to add fuel to be able to function. And because you are stable-minded and stable-brained, you have a higher chance and a higher probability of getting something healthy, a salad, fruits, whole wheat bread. Your brain is not asking for donuts and muffins. Okay? So this is the core of carbohydrates. This is the core of why and how carbohydrates affect our weight. If we're going to gain weight or we're going to lose weight, this is the core of it. I hope it is clear. Thank you, my audience. I appreciate each one of you. I appreciate all your feedback. I appreciate your time. Please do share. If you haven't subscribed yet, do so. If you have not understood this, I don't mind to do another video to retake it. Maybe just this section so that we really get to the details of it. But if it is clear, then I'm happy. We'll be back next week with the last part of our diet, which will be fats. Okay, come, because I'll be talking about palm oil. Talking about fats. We Africans, we eat palm oils, okay? Thank you for your subscriptions and your time and for sharing, and have a wonderful weekend. Cheers.